Hey, hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. Hope you're all doing really well out there on this Friday night, or as I usually say, whatever day of the week you might watch this one back on. I hope you still are doing well out there. Yeah, so we already had Danny kick things off for us as usual here on my channel on a Friday night, creating that extra bit of energy that we need to take into the weekend and feel really energized and not drained from the whatever happened for the rest of the week. If you were at school or work or whatever you're doing, no, this is your gateway into the weekend. And I'm sad to say that was the last bit of energy that Danny had in him for this year, because this is my last Friday night video for 2025. But we're going to be back, of course, in the beginning of January. We just need a bit of a break, and we're going to be back with renewed energy. And Danny is already charging his batteries, really. Yeah. But it won't be dormant here, really. My channel won't be dormant up until that point, because I already pre-recorded a couple of videos here that I'm going to publish leading up to the new year. And one of them I'm going to promote right here and now, because on Tuesday I'm going to drop the latest episode from the Swedish Connection, and you don't want to miss that one. It's a Christmas special, and yeah, it's going to be fun. I hope you join me on that one. So yeah, it won't be silent here at all. But what to do with this last Friday night video then? Well, I'm going to do what everyone else does that is talking about music here on YouTube at the moment, and that is to present my favorite records from 2025. And if you've been here before, you know I tend to jap a lot, so that also means the videos are very lengthy, but I will try to contain myself today. I can't promise you anything, but I will try to make this a bit shorter and just go through all of these different releases. Most of them are already talked about here, but you know, it's my favorite and I get excited and all that, but I will try to keep it more condensed, really. So this is my third year doing this, but the first 2 years I wasn't really that structured in what I was doing, and like I said before, I tend to jap a lot. But now I decided this year I'm going to be structured, so I picked 3 compilation albums that I want to showcase to you, my favorite compilations from this year, and also 3 singles from this year that also happens to be my favorites. And then I'm going to go over to box sets, but I only have 2 box sets really that I want to showcase, and the reason for that, because I usually don't talk about box sets here and I don't buy that many box sets, but this year was exceptional because these 2 box sets that came out are out of this world in my opinion, so that's why I'm including them. So yeah, 2 box sets are going to be included in this one, and then we're going to round off the whole thing by presenting my 10 favorite albums that were released in 2025. Yeah. So now, without any further ado, let's get on with it, and we'll start, like I said, with the compilations. And the first one is this one. This is Pet Shop Boys Disco 5. A very, very recent release. I was very tempted to include it on my last Friday video when I was showcasing some of my latest record picks, but yeah, I held on to this one for this episode, and what an album. I'm always thrilled whenever Pet Shop Boys releases any of the albums in their disco series. And if you're not familiar with the disco series from Pet Shop Boys, here's a brief one. In 1986, it all started with the first volume, just called Disco. And it was tracks from their debut album, Please, that were remixed on that album, along with a couple of B-sides as well in their remixed form. And that's where I picked up on Pan in Arrow for the first time, for example, among so many other things. A great album. Then a couple of years went by. The second Disco was dropped, and that was during the album Very, when that one was released. Another great one. And then the third one came out, and I can't for the life of me remember what album that came out that year. But it was a great disco album. Yeah. And then number 4 dropped, and they changed the formula on that one, because on the previous ones it was just Pet Shop Boys tracks remixed. But on that one, number 4, they included some Pet Shop Boys tracks remixed, but also tracks that they remixed for other people. And I thought that was a great formula, really. Divided a lot of fans. A lot of fans still wanted just Pet Shop Boys tracks. They couldn't see the point in this. But to me, being a big fan of Pet Shop Boys, but I'm not a hardcore fan, so I don't go out and buy everything that has their name on it. To me, this was a very welcome compilation, really. Just to mention an example, on Disco 4, there was a great Pet Shop Boys remix of Yoko Ono's Walking on Thin Ice. And I would probably never got exposed to that one if it wasn't for Disco 4. So that's just one example of the many tracks. There were artists that they remixed for that I never heard of before, and that was my gateway into that artist, and so forth and so on. And on Disco 5, that's just been released, they do exactly the same. So we do get a couple of Pet Shop Boys tracks here, along with Ollie Alexander, for example, or Soft Cell, great collaborations, but we also get a bunch of Pet Shop Boys remixes of other people's tracks, like Tina Turner. Yeah, and Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds, for example, and Paul Weller, and the list goes on and on and on. It's just great remixes, and a lot of them I never heard before. So a great album. I just had to include it here on this list. I love it. The next one is this. Moxie and the Sound of Love International, number 7. Yeah, so this is a compilation with electronic music, and it's a compilation series that I wasn't familiar with beforehand. This was a recommendation from my dear friend Tim, who also has a YouTube channel where he does some really great reviews, and he talks quite a lot about electronic music. So this past summer he had a video out where he was recommending some new releases from different record labels, mainly focusing on electronic music. So I wrote down a big list from that video. There were so many great releases, things I never heard of before, and this was one of them. So I picked this one up this past summer and became the soundtrack to my summer, really. It's a big compilation, double album with a lot of tracks, some of them older, but they were new to me. And it's just great stuff. A blend of techno, some Balearic sounding stuff, acid house, on the cusp of that. It's just a really nice blend, all compiled by Moxie, and Moxie is a DJ from the London area, and she did a great job by compiling this one, so I had to include this lovely compilation album, Moxie, The Sound of Love International, number 7. Yeah. And the next one is actually a Record Store Day release from none other than Art of Noise. Yes, they released this brilliant stuff. It's impressions of Forever, Art of Noise, and the making of Moments in Love. So it's different iterations of the, should we say, hit single, Moments in Love, that was released in the 1980s. And I have most of these iterations before on different compilations and so forth and so on. But the great thing with this one is that it compiles all of these great iteration outtakes of Moments in Love on one album. And the way it's done, it's so cleverly done, because it doesn't feel, when you put it on, that you're listening to the same song over and over again. They just choose the perfect variations of Moments in Love on this one. So it's just a joy, really, to listen to this one. I thoroughly enjoy this one. Like I said, released through Record Store Day and on beautiful red vinyl as well. And I talked about this one before, so please go back and check out my Record Store Day video, for example, to get some more information around this and my impressions of it. But yeah, what a record. Just had to include it here. So now, with that done and dusted, the compilations, we're going to move on to the singles. The first single that I want to highlight here, I don't have. It's not been released, at least to my knowledge, on a physical format. And it's a bit against my rules, because when I do these videos, I want to showcase a physical copy of it, a CD or a vinyl record or cassette, whatever. But this one hasn't been released, at least to my knowledge, like I said. It is the bassist from Red Hot Chili Peppers, Flea. I came up on my YouTube feed one day and I was like, wait, Flea? Isn't that the bassist from Red Hot Chili Peppers? And I'm not a big fan of Red Hot Chili Peppers at all, but I do recognize the name, and what it looks like is quite a character, right? But I was like, I didn't know he was doing solo things. Does he sing? What does it sound like? I was curious, so I put it on. And for the next 4 minutes, I was transfixed in front of a screen listening to this one. Brilliant video, but the song, wow. Jazz, funk, there's spoken words in it with a very good message in it, and it was just the way it was performed, the whole thing in one package, the video, the song, everything, it just worked so well, and it became one of my favorites. And it's just recently been released, and I'm still playing it over and over again. So he's going to release an album early on in the next year, so I will have an excuse to talk more about Flea. And the single, by the way, if I didn't mention it because I was so excited about it, is called A Plea. Yeah, so I just had to include it. I had to mention it, but I don't have anything to show for it, so there we go. The second single, one of my absolute favorites this year, is from Saint Etienne. Yes, and they released the latest album a couple of months ago, International, and from that one we got a bunch of singles, and the latest one is called Take Me to the Pilot, one of my favorite tracks from that album. So I just had to include this one here because it's one of the most played tracks from Saint Etienne's new album, in this home at least. And the reason I'm also including this CD single is because you do get, if you buy this one, 3 other tracks that are non-album tracks, and they are equally brilliant. Saint Etienne is just up there with all the rest of the geniuses, really. The music geniuses, in my book. So I had to include Take Me to the Pilot by Saint Etienne. Yeah. And the third and last single I want to include here is this one. This is from Project K featuring Magenta Soulstar, Mind Over Matter, which in its original from the late 80s was sung by E.G. Daily, and I love that one. But I forgot about it over the years somewhat. It just collected dust, really, in this old brain, until Project K released this one together with the Magenta Soulstar, and I was like, yeah, I remember that one. What have you done with it? It is absolutely brilliant. And once again, yeah, I have done a review of this one, so if you want to hear me talk about this one in length, please go and check out that review. I love this. What a voice, what a production, love it. And I'm cheating here, actually. I said I only had 3 singles, and I have a 4th. Yeah. Once again, from Project K and Magenta Soulstar, Ring of Fire. I just had to include it because these 2 singles have been on constant repeat in this home throughout the year, ever since they were released. Ring of Fire was their second single, and it's a cover of a Jennifer Rush song from 1984, one that I wasn't familiar with, so to me this became the original. I heard this one before I went to listen to Jennifer Rush's original one. I love Jennifer Rush's one, but the voice of Magenta Soulstar is quite different from Jennifer Rush, and I prefer that one because to me this is the original now. Yeah. And once again, a great production from Project K, and if you buy these CD singles from Energized Records, you do get a bunch of remixes that are not available on streaming services as well. But But once again, I've done reviews of both of these here on my channel, so please go and check them out. It's worth the while, I'll promise you. Yeah, so those were my 4 singles. Yeah, I cheated there. But let's now move on to what I promised you before, and that's to have a look at those 2 box sets, those mysterious box sets. As I said before, I don't have that many box sets. I have most of them up here on this shelf, and it's not because I dislike a box set, because there are some really nice ones out there, but they're usually very expensive and, in my opinion, usually don't live up to the hype. Versus the price sticker, really. Yeah, so it's usually about that. But now and then something comes along, like the Beach Boys Smile Sessions, for example, which I did invest quite a lot of money in, but you do get a lot of value for your money in that one. Once again, in my opinion. And this year we had 2 box sets that was just must-haves for me. The first one being Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Welcome to the Pleasure Dome. So this is a brand new box set celebrating 40 years since this one was released. It was actually last year, but hey, better late than never. And this one presents us with 8 discs, 7 CDs and 1 Blu-ray of great Frankie material. It starts out with demos, and then we go on single by single, really, with outtakes, alternate versions, and then we slowly but surely works our way up to the album, where we get even more outtakes, alternative variations and all of that. And then on the last disc, on the Blu-ray, we do get the new Steven Wilson remix of this album. And it's a great packaging, as you can see, in a nice box like this. And inside we do get 2 envelopes. I'm going to show you that. Here we go. They look like that. And of course they both open up, and inside we have smaller envelopes that holds all the discs, very nicely presented. And along with this we also get a book with some essays, some nice photos, starting from Relax over to 2 Tribes, to The Power of Love, and then eventually, like I said, Welcome to the Pleasure Dome, for example. Really nice photos, some nice essays or liner notes, you can call it what you want. Fantastic presentation, the whole box. And me being a huge Frankie fan ever since I discovered them in 1984, I've been collecting them for ever since, really. I blame Frankie for starting my record collecting, really, or thanking them, you might say. So it's a lot of hours of listening in this one, and wow, yeah, that's why I want to highlight it as one of the highlights of 2025. And a lot of Sanctum here today. We already had Art of Noise earlier, now Frankie, and it doesn't stop there, because the second box set was from Propaganda. Okay, so A Secret Sense of a Rhythm and A Secret Sense of Sin is this one called. And it's a smaller box, but still houses 6 CDs in this one. Really nicely presented over here, with all the CDs individually color-coded. So you've got different colors for each CD. And this is more or less complete Propaganda. So we get all the singles, all the variations, and the album. And it's been pointed out by people who knows more than I, because I do have most of the things that Propaganda released over the years, but there's so many different mixes, so I reached a point in my life where I can't really differentiate between them anymore. Or there's 2 seconds more on that version, which was called Super Extended Mix or whatever. You get the point. Yeah, so there's so much. So there's been people pointing out that actually there are 6 or 7 tracks missing from this one, but those are basically alternative mixes to the other ones, where we have a missing second here or there. But hey, once again, my opinion, it doesn't really matter. I think they did a great job with this one. And of course, you also get a nice booklet here with some liner notes and the history of Propaganda. all nicely packed in this small little box. I love this one. Once again, Propaganda after Frankie. Propaganda was one of my absolute favorites back in the 80s. And unfortunately, they only released one album back then. One decent album, I have to say, because they did reform and they had some missing members and things like that. And they released another album in the beginning of 1990, was it? I wasn't too fond of that one. But then they redeemed themselves, because if you watched my video last year going through the best of 2024, Propaganda was on there as well. Yeah, so they came back in style, really. But this is the original lineup, so to speak, from the Sanctum Tam years, all collected in one box. Yeah, just had to highlight it. And when it comes to both of those boxes, there will be videos in the near future, especially about Frankie. I know I promised this before. I've been talking about Frankie being my biggest inspiration, really, from starting my collection and being so enamored with their music and all of that. So it's a bit daunting going into Frankie because of that. I don't know why, because I know quite a lot about Frankie and I have a lot of their records as well. But for some reason, it always feels a bit daunting to go into that subject. Don't know why, but hey, I'm going to do it. So there's going to be a deeper look into the box set, and another box set that I have up here with Frankie as well. It's going to be all about Frankie and then some. And of course also some more Propaganda, I promise you. But now enough about those two box sets. Let's go to the big one, the 10 albums, the 10 favorite albums of mine from 2025. And here they are, my 10 albums that we're going to go through. And they are not ranked at all. I haven't ranked these because these are the 10 albums I listened to the most during 2025. My favorite ones. So without ranking, I'm just going to pull something from the pile here. And the first one happens to be Suzanne Vega, Flying with Angels. Yes. So Suzanne Vega haven't really put out any new music for a couple of years now. And she's done a lot of touring, re-recorded some of her old songs, put out box sets and individual CDs of that, and so forth and so on. And some reissues have been going on as well. But in 2025, she promised us that she would deliver some new music, and she did, with Flying with Angels, an absolutely fantastic album, which, by the way, I also reviewed here on my channel, so please go and check that one out if you want to hear more in-depth talk about this one. But yeah, I love it. I mean, Suzanne Vega is a unique artist, singer-songwriter that I discovered through her Solitude Standing album. So, like so many others with Luca and Tom's Diner and those great singles. And ever since then, I've been following her. I love her music. Heavily inspired, of course, by Bob Dylan and Lou Reed. Two artists I'm not too keen on, really, but I do recognize their talent, of course. But with Suzanne Vega, of course, it's not a carbon copy of any of those artists. It's just an inspiration, and you can see that in some of her lyrics and the way she tells the stories. But she does it in her own way, of course. It's uniquely Suzanne Vega, and I love how she constantly renews herself from album to album. For every album, she managed to find a new sound, a new way of presenting them, but at the same time retain that that thing that was uniquely Suzanne Vega, because you can always pinpoint that, not only through the lyrics or her unique voice or anything like that. It's still something you can't really touch upon it, but she managed to work that magic throughout every single album she released. They are quite unique and not similar sounding at all. Yeah. That's why I love Suzanne Vega. And that's why I love Flying with Angels, one of the great albums of 2025, in my opinion. And we'll grab the next, yes, Marina. And this is Princess of Power. Formerly known as Marina and the Diamonds. That's where I discovered her once upon a time. And she moved from alt pop, you can say, to just pure pop. And it's all of these bloody genres, really. I'm not too fond of it, but just to describe it somewhat, she drifted into a more pop rock kind of thing with her previous album, which is called Ancient Dreams in a Modern Land. It's a great album. A little bit more attitude to that one, hard hitting, but still retaining that pop core, really, that she's so well known for. And talking about distinct voices and a unique way of doing things, like I did with Susanne Vega, this is exactly the same. You know exactly when you put on a Marina track. She's got a very distinctive voice, a very distinctive way of writing things as well. I love the lyrics on this one, but this is pure pop, electropop, call it what you want. This is for you to dance to reflect to. It's got all of those ingredients, and boy, I've been listening a lot to this one. A really nice surprise for 2025, so that's why it's on my list of the best albums of 2025. And the next one, yes, I can see it already. It's Lady Gaga, of course. This is a great album, Mayhem. So when she released Chromatica, and to me, that is one of those lockdown COVID albums that was released around that era. I listened quite a lot to that one, thoroughly enjoyed that one. A very dancey, a very Lady Gaga album, if you want. And then she went off to do some other projects, some other music influenced by other things. And I thought it was okay, but I was missing that Lady Gaga from Chromatica, and even further back than that, of course. And all of a sudden, she announced, I'm going to have a new album out in 2025. And we got, as a first single, I think it was Disease, right? And then we got Abracadabra, and it was sealed for me. I'm going to buy the album. I only heard 2 singles. This can't be a bad album. And I was, of course, right. It's an absolutely stunning album. And once again, I reviewed this one here on my channel, so please check out that video for a deeper, more in-depth look at this album from my point of view, of course. But yeah, absolutely had to have this one here. Still listen to this one quite a lot. There's so many good tracks on this one. And for the next one, let's see. Oh, this is where it all started for me this year in 2025. The very first album I bought in January. I'm, of course, talking about Kim Wilde, Closer. Yeah, so Kim Wilde's been with me ever since I grew up with the music in 1980. The 1980s, I want to say, not specifically 1980. Huge fan of Kim Wilde, and every time she releases something new, it's always exciting, interesting, and this was no exception at all. I said at the time, because once again, check out my review of this one I did back in early 2025. I said, could she be the savior of pop in 2025? And she certainly was. She was the one who kickstarted it all. But then, of course, as we already seen, we had Lady Gaga, we had Marina coming out with a new album. So there were more people fighting for being that savior of pop. Or together, they fought to save pop or something like that. Yeah, who knows? I'm going to stop japping. This is a great album, back to form. It alludes to being sort of a follow-up to Close that she released in the 1980s, being Closer and a similar cover here, but it has no resemblance really to what she released then. There are some inspirations from the sounds of the 1980s, so I can see that, but hey, this is brand new stuff, and she is still on top of her game, really. Kim Wilde, Closer, has to be here on my list for sure. And to accompany that album as a companion piece, I just want to highlight this one as well. This one was the RSD release in April. As you can see, the Closer RSD mixes. So you get 4 mixes on this one, amongst others, Project K that we already talked about. And it's just great remixes and a good addition to the album that we already had. But at the time, it was exclusive for Record Store Days, so not many people could get their hands on it. But thankfully today, as I'm speaking, deluxe album is out on CD of Closer, and on that deluxe CD we do find all of these mixes as well, so you didn't miss out on anything. Well, the format itself, a 10-inch and so forth and so on, but you do have the tracks, of course. So I think that's really good. And I wanted to highlight this because it's great remixes. And the great thing about modern remixes as well is that you get acquainted with some other artists. So Pensacola Mist remix of Trail of Destruction here, for example. I was like, never heard of Pensacola Mist before. So I checked them out, and they happen to be a great band on their own as well. So it's a good gateway kind of a thing going into remix albums or 10 inches or whatever it might be. But yeah, a good companion piece to Kim Wilde's Closer. I just want to highlight this one because it's one of the highlights for me as well this year. And yes, here is another... I get equally excited for all of these. I already knew which one I choose to be on this one, but I'm pulling them randomly, so it's fun. Saint Etienne International, which they claim is their last album under the name Saint Etienne, but they still said they won't put their instruments on a shelf and stop playing. They will still do that, but it was a bit cryptic how they will continue. But apparently Saint Etienne won't continue, so this is the last one, International. And what an album it is. I already did a kind of review of this one as well here on my channel, so go and check that out. I said at the time that it feels to me, at least, that this is a journey throughout the whole history of Saint Etienne, from when they started, was that back in '93, and up until today. It's got some glimpses here and there, nods to certain albums that they released throughout the years. This is just the best of Saint Etienne without being a compilation at all. It's just got so much goodness in it. Oh, it's such a great album. And I also have to point out something that I didn't say when I was doing that kind of review here earlier this year. That if you listen to this one on streaming, which I started to do before I bought it because I just want to listen to some of the tracks, you don't get some of the segments, some of the segues, some of the interludes that are on the vinyl copy, and I do think the CD as well, because the whole thing, for example, starts off with a Swedish radio personality, I think it is, who announces the first track or Saint Etienne themselves, and that carries on throughout all the tracks, where you get these small interludes or segues to the next track with people from all around the world, probably radio personalities or TV personalities, who knows, that do certain presentations throughout this whole album. But you won't get that on streaming, only if you buy a physical format of it. So I thought that was a great inclusion, because for me, going from streaming it and then buying it, and I put it on, I was like, ooh, what is this? This is new. Yeah, so an added bonus. I think that's a great way of differentiate between what you get if you're just streaming it or if you're actually buying a product from an artist. Yeah, so great stuff. Wonderful stuff. International, Saint Etienne. And, oh yeah, of course, couldn't leave out Sophie Ellis-Bextor. She came back big time with Perimeno Pop, and probably the best concert that I watched this year as well. I don't have that as a category here, I'm just dropping it here. It was the best concert I went to this year for sure, watching Sophie Ellis-Bextor in Camden. And there's a video on that as well, if you want to watch it. And absolutely great album. She's back to that disco-influenced pop that she did so well in the beginning of her career, but you also got some other influences here. But I want to say the mainstay of this one is disco. It's such an uplifting album with the great Sophie Ellis-Bextor. I love this one, for sure. Yeah, Perimeno Pop. And then, yes, of course, I had to include this one, speaking of disco-influenced pop, Bananarama, glorious. And this is of course live in London, recorded in 2024 in April. I went to one of these shows, and once again I made a video of that one. So for an in-depth review of that and the record itself, please check that one out. But yeah, I had to include this one of those albums I played so much this year. Great live recording on a double LP, so it's a nice gatefold there. And what a live show. Absolutely fantastic. I've been waiting for 40 years to see them live and never had a chance to see them live before, so this was a big moment for me. And of course I had to pick up the live album when it was released, and because I pre-ordered it, it also came with autographs from both Sarah and Karen as well. So great stuff. Absolutely love that album. One of the great live albums out there, folks. And the last two, or actually the last three, but the third one I will explain a bit closer when we come to that one. But first, Danny Minogue. More RSD releases, but I think this one is more widely available now. I think so, at least. But this is Danny Minogue, Neon Nights remixed. So this is yet another remix album, and yeah, I could have put that as a compilation kind of thing, but I see it as a standalone album. So hey, it's my list. Yeah. So I put this one on here because this is also something that I've been playing over and over again. So these are tracks from her Neon Nights album, of course, all remixed by different remixers here. And once again, we got Project K here on one of the tracks. I begin to wonder, one of my favorite mixes actually on this one, and what a great track it is to begin with. Yeah, it's just great stuff. I have to say, never really paid any attention to Danny Minogue back in the 90s or even the early 2000s. I remember hearing her, especially what she did with Riva, but never really paid any much attention to her until Neon Nights was reissued. And I heard a couple of tracks from that one, and from that point on, I was like, how have I missed this? She's a great artist. I've always been a big fan of Kylie, of course, but never really paid attention to her sister. Why? Don't know. But hey, better late than never. I love this record. So if you haven't checked out Neon Nights, hey, do that. And after you've done that, go and check out the remixes as well. It's an absolutely fantastic remix album. And the last physical record that I have here, the 9th one, is Lord with Virgin. Yes, this didn't become that big hit for Lord that I think it was meant to be, following up from her album Solar Power, which I thought was pretty okay. But this one really surprised me, because in the back of my mind I still had Solar Power. Like I said, I thought it was okay, but I didn't listen that much to it. And when this one was announced to come out, I was like, I don't know. So at first I listened to a couple of tracks when it was released on streaming. And then I was like, yeah, this is a really good production. I love the lyrics, a lot of introspection in that, a lot of revealing stuff as well. If all of the lyrics are about herself, yeah, it is. But in a good way. She's really reflecting on her own life, different experiences she had. And the production itself, I love it. It's very bold. It's very experimental at times as well. So yeah, this is an album that really stuck with me. For sure. Really like it. And a very unusual presentation here, but I like that X-ray kind of thing with the belt and the zipper. Yeah, and it's called Virgin. Lord, yeah, love it. And then I think that was 9 records if I counted it correctly. And I was to put another album here, an album that I've been looking forward to for some years now, ever since I discovered Verna Lind. And I talked about Verna Lind here before, Swedish artist that was housed in London in the 1980s, signed with a compact organization, an independent label here in the UK. and she did very... I don't know how to put it really. And I tried this before because I did a short on Verna Lind not that long ago. And I said, you can't pinpoint Verna Lind, and you really can't. It can be new wave at times, but it can also be avant-garde, jazz, and sometimes it's just downright film scores, or something that sounds like a film score, at least, from a James Bond movie or something like that. It's very hard. Yeah, you can't pinpoint Verna Lind. Anyhow, I've been talking here on my channel about her several times, and she had a single that was put out at the end of 2024, which was called Out Cold, and it had a double A side to it, so that double A side then became a single earlier this year, and it's called The Like Song, which is even better than Out Cold, which I know you say, how is that even possible? Well, it is. And on this single it said, from the forthcoming album Dawn Now, and I was like, yes, finally we're going to get a new album from Verna Lind. The last album she released, proper album she released, was from 1985, and yeah, so it's been some time. So this was highly anticipated by me, and it dropped. And it was only on streaming services initially. Then you could buy downloads from her Bandcamp, which is okay, but to me, I would love to own a physical format. And I'm not saying press it on a vinyl record. I know it can be expensive, but there are some really nice CD services out there. Press 500 CDs and sell them through your Bandcamp. This is from an artist, granted, doesn't have the biggest fan base in the world, but we do have quite a lot of fans. She has become quite of a cult personality, really. A lot of younger people started to discover her just some years ago, and that was probably around the time I discovered her as well, and I'm old. But hey, so there are fans scattered all around the world, and I know in Japan, for example, she's pretty big with her take on music that really went down with the people of Japan and so forth and so on. So there are people all around the world that are generally interested in Verna Lind. And when she released her first record since 1985, or her first album, I would say, they would expect it to be on a physical format. But we didn't get that. So because of that, I haven't reviewed it. I've been a bit hesitant. I love the album. I have to say, it's a beautiful collection of songs. Some previous released as singles, but also a bunch of new tracks as well. And I love that album. So I have to put it here on my list. So I have to do an exception, just like I did with Flea, with A Plea. I'm old-fashioned like that. I would love to have something physical to hold in my hands, read the liner notes and all of that. And that's why I'm a bit disappointed in Verna Lind's new album, Dawn Now, because of that. But that doesn't take away from the quality of the music. What a wonderful, wonderful album. So I couldn't leave it out. I couldn't. But I don't consider it a record of the year, because it's not a record, it's digital files, and that is a shame. Anyhow, thank you for watching this. What do you think of my list? Or more importantly, I want to hear all about your favorites from 2025. And you know what? We have a whole comment field down below where you can write out to your heart's content. Do a top 10, do a top 20, do a top 100, whatever you feel like. I would love to hear from you guys what was some of your favorites in 2025. These were my favorite records, all from compilations to box sets, albums, and some singles as well. And some ranting from me about non-record formats. All that's left to say now is a big thank you for watching this video with me, and a special thank you to all of my subscribers. Of course, you're always near and dear to me, you know that. special place in my heart. As I said in the beginning, I will take a break now. Me and Danny from the Kids from Fame will need a break over the Christmas period and New Year's. But we will be back in the beginning of January. That is a promise, with new energy and new records to talk about and all of that. Yeah. So what's left to say? Merry Christmas if you celebrate Christmas, or happy holidays, whatever you might celebrate at this time of year. And of course, a very happy new year from me and Danny. Now, I'm going to leave you guys with Danny, who is exhausting his last bit of energy to give us a fantastic outro, as always, for these Friday night videos. But before that, you all stay cool. You keep playing that music, and to round off things for 2025, I bid you an extra heartfelt Swedish adjö to you all. Take it away, Danny.
Movie rolls on, there ain't no more love scenes, the romance is gone. But it's a one-man show, it's moving real slow, but it's picking up speed as I'm turning the key. Coming up, coming up, coming up.